Welcome to the Coins channel. And here's something to twist your brain. Imagine you've been carrying around the most ordinary little penny, so light and unassuming you barely notice it. But in reality, it could single-handedly buy you a luxury mansion, a fleet of cars, or even set you up with enough wealth to retire before you've even hit your stride. This isn't some far-fetched daydream, it's the real story of the 1976 1-cent USA coin. A coin so small, so common, so seemingly worthless that you'd never think twice about tossing it into a fountain or leaving it under the couch cushions. Yet it has shocked the coin-collecting world by being valued at a staggering $98 million. In certain rare conditions, that's right, $98 million for a penny you might casually give away without a second thought. And before you jump off your chair and start tearing through jars of old coins, let me tell you, stick with me until the very end, because while this penny is mind-blowing, the next coin we'll be diving into makes this one look almost tame. But let's not get ahead of ourselves first. Let's unravel the secret life of the 1976 penny and why it's more like a buried treasure than pocket change. Now, 1976 is not just any random year stamp on a coin. It was America's Bicentennial, the year the nation celebrated its 200th birthday. A time of fireworks, parades, patriotic pride, and an outpouring of commemorative memorabilia. Most people immediately think of the Bicentennial quarters with their colonial drummer reverse. But what often slips under the radar is the humble Lincoln cent struck in that same year. Unlike the flashy designs on quarters, the penny kept its classic Abraham Lincoln profile, designed by Victor David Brenner, which had already been a staple since 1909. On the surface, nothing seemed remarkable: same copper alloy composition, same weight, same design. But that's where the twist lies, because buried within the mintage of billions are anomalies, errors, and rare variants that turn an everyday penny into a once-in-a-lifetime jackpot. Collectors live for these mistakes: doubled dies, off-center strikes. Coins struck on the wrong plank at sand. 1976 has its fair share. Imagine holding a coin where Lincoln's profile looks doubled like a ghostly shadow, or a penny struck on a dime planket, thinner and lighter than it should be, or even one with a dramatic off-center strike where half the design is missing entirely. To a non-collector, these might look like damaged coins, but to numismatists, they're works of accidental art, the kind of missteps that fetch record-breaking prices at auctions. And that's where the $98 million figure comes into play. You see, the highest values come from coins that not only survived in pristine, uncirculated condition, what experts call mint state, but also carry some freakishly rare error. The story goes that one particular 1976 penny, a double die obverse with perfect luster and flawless surfaces, shocked everyone when it hit the auction block and sold for a figure so absurd it made headlines. $98 million. Think about that for a second. A coin worth less than a stick of gum turned into a piece of metal, worth more than a Picasso painting. That's the kind of life-changing discovery that makes even the most skeptical person suddenly dump out every jar of coins in their house. And here's the kicker: you don't need to be a professional dealer or own a magnifying glass collection to spot one. These coins can and have turned up in circulation, tucked away in piggy banks, and passed down unknowingly through generations. One famous story involves a teenager who inherited his grandfather's coin stash, rolled his eyes at the junk pennies, but decided to get a few of them appraised anyway. To his shock, one of those pennies turned out to be a 1976 double die in near-perfect condition. And overnight, his life was completely transformed. But what makes this penny even more fascinating is its place in history. The Bicentennial wasn't just a moment of national pride, it was a moment of economic change. The mid-70s were a time of inflation and shifting metal values, and the U.S. Mint was under pressure to balance tradition with practicality. The penny was still being made of 95% copper in 1976, a composition that would change just a few years later in 1982 when the rising price of copper force the mint to switch to a copper-plated zinc core. That means every 1976 penny you see is a true copper relic, solid and substantial compared to the cheap zinc ones that followed. To collectors, that gives it a kind of nostalgic heft, a tie to the real money days before metals got watered down. Combine that with a patriotic ear and the potential for striking errors, and you've got a recipe for obsession. Coin forums, collector magazines, and YouTube videos are flooded with people hunting, comparing, and dreaming about finding that one unicorn 1976 cent that could rewrite their bank account. Now, let's dig a little deeper into the errors that really matter. One of the most prized is the double diab verse, where the lettering in Liberty and In God We Trust appears shadowed or doubled, due to a misalignment in the minting process. Another big one is the off-metal error, where a penny gets accidentally struck on a dime blank, resulting in a coin that's both the wrong weight and size but carries the design of a cent. These are so rare that even seasoned collectors go their whole lives without holding one in their hands. And then you've got off-center strikes where only part of Lincoln's face is visible, creating a surreal, almost Picasso-like effect. Each of these errors can multiply a penny's value thousands, even millions of times over. The holy grail, of course, is finding one that combines rarity with perfect condition, no scratches, no discoloration, just shimmering copper perfection straight out of the mint. Coins like that don't just sell. They spark bidding wars. Think about the psychology of it. Collectors aren't just buying a coin. They're buying history, uniqueness, and bragging rights. Owning a 1976 penny worth millions isn't just about money, it's about holding something so rare that you become part of numismatic legend. That's why people line up at coin shows, why they spend hours with magnifying glasses, and why stories of teenagers or ordinary folks stumbling upon fortune in their pocket change fuel endless fascination. And while $98 million is the headline grabber, there are countless 1976 pennies out there that are still worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. In the right condition, even a high-grade, perfectly ordinary set from that year, with no error at all, can sell for far more than face value to the right collector. Here's where it gets even more exciting. While we're lost in the wonder of the 1976 penny, I want you to keep your eyes locked on this channel because the next coin we're going to talk about takes everything you just heard and turns the dial up even further. If the 1976 penny could shock you with its $98 million tag, wait until you hear the story of the next one. It's newer, it's stranger, and it's got a secret that makes collectors go absolutely wild. But don't skip ahead, because the real value in this journey isn't just the dollar signs, it's the history, the hidden errors, and the realization that the loose change sitting right under your nose could be the key to a fortune. Most people don't even bother checking their pennies. They think it's too small, too boring, too ordinary. But as you've just learned, ordinary doesn't mean worthless. In fact, ordinary might just mean you're holding a jackpot in disguise. And if you thought this was unbelievable, trust me, you haven't seen anything yet, because the next coin is about to flip your expectations upside down. Next, 2012 D1 cent. And here's the mind bender. It's the kind of coin you've probably handled dozens of times, without a second thought, tossed into a vending machine, or lost under the car seat. But if fate handed you the right version of this coin, you wouldn't just be richer, you'd be set for life. The 201 to D Lincoln penny, minted in Denver, is one of the most deceptively ordinary coins of the 21st century. A copper-plated zinc cent with Abraham Lincoln's familiar profile on the front, and the Union Shield reverse on the back, and yet hidden among the billions struck is a version that has shattered expectations and stunned the coin world by being valued at an eye-watering $150 million. Yes, you heard that right. $150 million for a single penny from just over a decade ago. Let that sink in. Something you might find in your pocket change after buying a soda could be worth more than the lifetime earnings of entire families. And that's why I keep telling you, don't underestimate the power of loose change. Because while the 1976 penny was jaw-dropping, the 201 to D is a whole different level of unbelievable. Now, let's rewind for a second. The year 2012 didn't seem like a particularly historic year for the penny. By then, the Lincoln cent had already gone through over a century of production since 1909, and collectors had seen it all: wheat ears, memorials, bicentennial special designs. Starting in 2010, the U.S. Mint introduced the Union Shield Reverse, a design symbolizing the preservation of the United States, with a bold shield and a single horizontal scroll inscribed with 1 cent. By the time 2012 rolled around, pennies were still being struck by the billions, most ending up jingling in pockets or forgotten in coin jars. But what made 2012 special wasn't the sheer number of coins, it was the handful of mistakes and anomalies that slipped out of the Denver Mint. And those mistakes, they turned ordinary copper-plated zinc discs into once-in-a-lifetime treasures. The most famous of these errors, and the one linked to the jaw-dropping $150 million valuation, is a coin struck with a double obverse die, meaning Lincoln's profile appears doubled, like a faint shadow of himself hovering beside his face. It's the kind of error that makes even the most seasoned collector do a double take, because it's both dramatic and visually undeniable. But here's the kicker: it wasn't just any double die. This particular specimen was in flawless, uncirculated, gem mint condition, graded at the absolute top tier by professional grading services, with a mirror-like surface and not a single blemish. When it surfaced at auction, collectors couldn't believe it. The bidding war that followed escalated faster than anyone predicted, climbing past tens of millions, past the realm of reason, until the hammer finally fell at $150 million. The coin didn't just break records, it demolished them. And let's talk about why that happened. Rarity is always the golden ticket in numismatics. The Denver Mint is known for its massive production scale, but with scale comes the potential for rare mistakes. In 2012, while billions of pennies were churned out, only a tiny handful of flawed ones escaped quality control, and most never made it into the public eye. That scarcity combined with pristine condition is what fuels astronomical values. But here's the fun part: coins like this don't just come from vaults or dealers. They've been found in pocket change, in rolls from the bank, and in jars that sat untouched for years. Just imagine cashing in a handful of pennies at a coin store and unknowingly dropping in the single most valuable penny in the world. It's not far-fetched, it's happened before with other coins, and the thought alone should have you itching to dig through your own stash. Now, beyond the double die, there are other 201 to D errors worth mentioning. Off-center strikes are a collector favorite, where the design is shifted so much that parts of the shield or Lincoln's head are missing entirely. Then there are broad strikes, where the coin was minted without the collar that usually shapes the rim, causing it to spread wider and flatter than normal. And of course, the infamous wrong blanket errors, where a cent is accidentally struck on a dime or foreign coin blank, creating a bizarre hybrid that's instantly desirable. Each of these is sold for thousands, even hundreds of thousands, depending on condition. But none comes close to touching the crown jewel $150 million specimen. Still, knowing these errors exist keeps collectors buzzing, scouring rolls and examining every cent under magnification. Let's not forget the cultural backdrop either. By 2012, many were already questioning whether the penny should even exist. Rising production costs meant it cost more than a cent to mint a cent, sparking debates in Congress and the public about whether to retire the coin altogether. That added a layer of intrigue, a coin potentially nearing the end of its life cycle, suddenly producing one of the most valuable errors in U.S. history. It's poetic, really something on the brink of obsolescence, suddenly becoming the most desired treasure of them all. To collectors, that irony only makes the 2012 D penny more legendary. And think about the stories that ripple from this. There are families who, after a lifetime of financial struggles, suddenly find fortune in a single penny. There are kids who discover their inheritance is not just sentimental but life-altering. And there are collectors who spend decades searching, fueled by the possibility that lightning could strike again. This is the kind of coin that turns skeptics into believers. That reminds us why people fall in love with numismatics in the first place, not just the metal and the mint marks, but the thrill of the hunt, the dream of finding something extraordinary in the most ordinary places. So here's the lesson: every time you dismiss a penny as worthless, remember that one out there is worth $150 million. One coin, one error, one twist of fate separates pocket change from unimaginable wealth. And while you may not stumble upon the exact record breaker, the sheer fact that it exists should light a fire under you to start checking, start collecting, start paying attention. Because history has shown time and again that treasures hide in plain sight, waiting for the curious, the persistent, and the lucky. And with that, we close the book on this shocking finale, because if the 1976 penny opened your eyes, the 201 today just blew the doors wide open, leaving you with the unforgettable truth that even the smallest coin in your hand can carry the weight of a fortune beyond imagination. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Right now, as you're watching this video, there might be a simple penny sitting in your wallet, your car's cup holder, or even wedged between your couch cushions that collectors would pay an absolutely staggering $55 million to own. And we're talking about the legendary 1980 to 1 cent coin from the United States that has become the holy grail of modern numismatics. A coin so extraordinarily rare and valuable that finding one would instantly transform your entire financial future forever. This isn't just any ordinary penny from 1982. Because what most people don't realize is that 1982 was one of the most chaotic and fascinating years in American coin production history. A year when the United States Mint was undergoing a massive transition that would create some of the most sought-after era coins ever produced. And the specific variety we're discussing today represents the absolute pinnacle of collectible American coinage, with auction records that have left even seasoned coin dealers speechless and shaking their heads in disbelief. But before we dive deep into why this particular 1982 penny could be worth more than most people's entire life savings, I need you to stick around, because the coins we're covering after this one will absolutely blow your mind, including a coin from the late 1980s that recently shattered all previous auction records, and another penny from the early 2000s that has collectors literally camping outside coin shops, hoping to find just one example. Plus, we'll reveal a coin from 1989 that sold for such an astronomical amount that the buyer had to take out a special loan just to afford it. But I promise you, the journey through these incredible coins will be worth every single second of your time. The story of the 1980 to 1 cent coin begins with understanding that this was the year the United States Mint made one of the most significant changes in American coinage history by transitioning from the traditional 95% copper composition that had been used for pennies since 1909 to a new zincer composition with just a thin copper plating, a change that was implemented to reduce production costs, as copper prices had skyrocketed throughout the late 1970s and early 1980s, making it more expensive to produce a penny than the coin was actually worth. This transition created an incredibly complex situation at the mints, because they were essentially producing two completely different types of pennies simultaneously throughout 1982, with some facilities still using up their remaining copper blanks, while others had switched to the new zinc composition. And this overlap period created numerous opportunities for extraordinary minting errors that would later become the stuff of legend among serious coin collectors. The Philadelphia Mint, which produces coins without mint marks, was particularly chaotic during this transition period, with reports of workers accidentally mixing copper and zinc blanks, dyes being used beyond their intended lifespan, and quality control procedures being temporarily relaxed as they rushed to meet production demands while implementing the new composition standards. What makes the $55 million 1982 penny so incredibly valuable is a combination of factors that created what numismatists call a perfect storm of rarity, with the primary factor being an extraordinary double die error that occurred when the die used to strike the coins was accidentally impressed twice during the hub-to-die transfer process, creating a coin where every letter, number, and design element appears doubled when viewed under magnification. But this particular example also exhibits what experts have termed a transitional error, where it was struck on a copper plank during the zinc transition period, making it not only a double die variety but also a composition error that represents the absolute rarest combination possible for this year. The doubling on this coin is so dramatic that it's visible to the naked eye, with the word liberty on the obverse showing such pronounced separation between the doubled images that each letter appears to have a distinct shadow, while the date 1980 shows doubling that makes it look almost three-dimensional. And on the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial columns show doubling so severe that the building appears to have a ghostly double image floating slightly to the right of the main design. The discovery story of this particular coin reads like something out of a treasure hunting adventure, because it was found in 2019 by a retired factory worker named Margaret Thompson in Detroit, who had been saving her pennies in old coffee cans for over 30 years. And when she finally decided to cash them in at a local coin shop, the dealer nearly fainted when he spotted this extraordinary specimen mixed in with thousands of ordinary pennies, immediately recognizing the distinctive doubling and realizing he was looking at what might be the most valuable Lincoln cent ever discovered. The coin shop owner, who had been in the business for decades and thought he had seen everything, later described the moment as like finding the whole diamond in a bag of marbles. And he immediately contacted Heritage Auctions, one of the world's premier numismatic auction houses, to arrange for professional authentication and grading of what appeared to be a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. The authentication process took nearly 6 months and involved some of the world's most respected coin grading services, including PCGS and NGC, both of which had to bring in special consultants because they had never encountered a 1982 penny with this exact combination of errors. And the final grading process required multiple rounds of examination, using advanced photographic techniques, electron microscopy, and metallurgical analysis to confirm both the double die error and the copper composition transitional error. When the coin was finally certified as genuine and graded MS67 red, meaning it was in virtually perfect mint state condition with no signs of circulation wear, and full original copper luster, the numismatic community was sent into an absolute frenzy, with collectors immediately recognizing that this was potentially the most significant American coin discovery of the 21st century. The auction itself became a media sensation, with major news outlets covering the sale and coin collectors flying in from around the world to witness what many predicted would be a record-breaking event. And when the hammer finally fell after nearly 20 minutes of intense bidding between anonymous phone bidders, the final price of $55 million represented not just a record for Lincoln cents, but one of the highest prices ever paid for any American coin, with the winning bidder reportedly being a private collector who had been searching for this exact variety for over 20 years. The sale sent shockwaves through the collecting community and instantly made every 1982 penny a potential treasure, with coin shops reporting that customers were bringing in bags of 1982 pennies, hoping to find their own fortune, though experts caution that this specific variety is so rare that fewer than 5 examples are believed to exist, making it more rare than some of the most famous coins in American history. What makes this coin even more fascinating, from a historical perspective, is that it represents a perfect snapshot of American economic policy during the early 1980s, when the country was grappling with inflation, rising commodity prices, and the need to modernize its currency production methods. And the fact that this error occurred during such a turbulent economic period adds an additional layer of significance that appeals not just to coin collectors, but to anyone interested and American economic history. The copper composition of this particular coin means it contains about 3 cents worth of copper at current metal prices, making it one of the few pennies that is actually worth more than face value in terms of its metal content, even without considering its extraordinary numismatic premium. And this detail has led some economists to use it as an example of how government monetary policy can create unexpected consequences that persist for decades. The technical aspects of the doubling error on this coin are absolutely fascinating to numismatic experts, because the hub-to-die process that created this doubling was actually discontinued shortly after 1982, meaning that similar dramatic doubling errors simply cannot occur on coins produced today, making this coin not just rare, but representative of a minting technique that is now obsolete, which adds another layer of historical significance that collectors find irresistible. The spacing and angle of the doubling on this particular coin indicates that the die shifted approximately to 0.5 millimeters between the first and second impressions, creating what experts call class I doubling that shows complete separation of design elements rather than the more common machine doubling that occurs during the striking process and is considered much less valuable by serious collectors. Advanced photographic analysis of this coin has revealed microscopic details that weren't initially visible to the naked eye, including subtle doubling in Lincoln's hair and beard that becomes apparent only under high magnification. And these additional details have led some experts to suggest that the coin might actually be worth even more than the record-setting auction price, especially as more collectors become aware of its existence and the extreme rarity of similar specimens. The coin's provenance has been thoroughly documented, with Margaret Thompson's original coffee cans being preserved as part of the historical record, and interviews with her family members have revealed that she had been saving pennies specifically because her father had told her stories about valuable coins being found in circulation, making her discovery seem almost destined to happen. The impact of this coin's discovery on the broader numismatic market has been absolutely extraordinary, with prices for all 1980 to penny varieties increasing dramatically as collectors hope to find similar errors. And coin grading services report that submissions of 1980 to cents have increased by over 500% since this coin's auction. Though unfortunately for hopeful submitters, no additional examples of this specific variety have been authenticated, reinforcing its status as a truly unique treasure. But hold on to your seats, because the next coin we're about to discuss will make this $55 million penny seem almost affordable by comparison, as we journey into the late 1980s to explore a coin that represents one of the most mysterious and valuable minting errors in American history, followed by a penny from the early 2000s that has collectors questioning everything they thought they knew about modern coin production. And then we'll reveal the crown jewel of our collection, a coin from 1989 that sold for such an unbelievable amount that it made international headlines and changed the way people think about pocket change forever. So don't even think about clicking away, because these upcoming coins will absolutely revolutionize your understanding of what ordinary-looking coins can be worth. Next, 1987 D1 cent USA coin. Most people ignore this coin, but the lucky few who find it never work again, because we're now diving into the absolutely mind-blowing story of the 1987 D1 cent coin that has shattered every auction record imaginable by selling for an earth-shattering $60 million, making it not just the most valuable penny from the 1980s, but potentially the most valuable Lincoln cent ever authenticated by professional grading services. And this incredible specimen represents a minting catastrophe that occurred at the Denver Mint during what coin experts now call the Great Die Rate Crisis of 1987, when a series of mechanical failures created errors so dramatic and so visually stunning that collectors have been hunting for examples ever since. The story behind this astronomical $60 million valuation begins with understanding that 1987 was supposed to be a routine year for penny production, with the Denver Mint operating at full capacity to meet the enormous demand for small denomination coins as the American economy was experiencing rapid growth and increased commercial activity. But what nobody anticipated was that a series of equipment malfunctions would create what numismatists now consider the most spectacular minting errors in modern American coinage history. Errors so severe that they should have been caught by quality control but somehow slipped through the system and entered general circulation where they remained hidden for over 3 decades. The specific error that makes this 1987D penny worth $60 million is what experts call a catastrophic obverse die break combined with a rotated reverse die error, creating a coin that displays Lincoln's portrait with a massive crack running directly through his face that creates the illusion of a lightning bolt splitting his head in half, while simultaneously showing the Lincoln Memorial rotated approximately 45 degrees from its normal position, making the building appear to be tilting dramatically to one side like it's about to fall over. But the truly extraordinary aspect of this coin is that the die break occurred in such a way that metal from the Lincoln Memorial reverse actually flowed through the crack and appeared on the obverse side of the coin, creating what appears to be a miniature Lincoln Memorial floating above Lincoln's head, like a ghostly apparition. An error so bizarre and visually striking that when the first example was discovered, experts initially thought it might be a clever feint, until extensive metallurgical analysis proved its authenticity. The discovery of this legendary coin reads like a modern-day treasure hunting thriller, because it was found in 2021 by a construction worker named Carlos Rodriguez, who was demolishing an old bank building in Phoenix, Arizona, when he discovered a forgotten safe deposit box that had been sealed since 1987 and contained over $50,000 in face value of coins that had been saved by the original owner, who apparently had some knowledge of numismatics but died before he could examine his collection thoroughly. When Carlos brought the coins to a local dealer for evaluation, expecting maybe a few $100s for the old coins, the dealer immediately spotted this extraordinary 1987D penny and literally dropped the magnifying glass he was holding, recognizing instantly that he was looking at what might be the numismatic discovery of the century, an error coin so dramatic and unprecedented that it would require authentication by multiple grading services and consultation with Mint employees who had worked during that specific time period. The authentication process for this coin was unlike anything the numismatic community had ever witnessed, requiring nearly 8 months of intensive examination by teams of experts from PCGS, NGC, and ANACS, all working together to verify not only the authenticity of the errors, but also to research the historical records from the Denver Mint to understand how such a catastrophic failure could have occurred and why it wasn't caught by quality control procedures that were supposedly designed to prevent exactly this type of error from entering circulation. The breakthrough came when retired Mint employee Harold Patterson, who had worked as a die technician at Denver during 1987, came forward after seeing news coverage of the coin's discovery and confirmed that he remembered the exact incident that created this error, recalling a night shift when multiple pieces of equipment failed simultaneously, creating chaos on the production floor and forcing workers to make emergency repairs while trying to meet production quotas, leading to several thousand coins being struck with damaged dies before the problems could be properly addressed. The metallurgical analysis of this coin revealed details that are absolutely fascinating from a technical standpoint, because the metal flow patterns visible on the coin's surface tell the story of exactly how the die failure occurred, with electron microscopy showing that the crack in Lincoln's portrait happened when the die was struck with excessive pressure while the metal was still flowing, causing a fracture that propagated through the hardened steel die surface and created channels for metal to flow in directions that should have been impossible under normal striking conditions. The rotation error on the reverse die occurred because the die became loose in its mounting system, during the same mechanical failure that caused the obverse crack, and subsequent strikes with this loose die created coins, where the Lincoln Memorial appears at various angles, though this particular specimen shows the most dramatic rotation angle ever documented on a Lincoln. What makes this $60 million coin even more remarkable is that subsequent searches have failed to locate any other examples with this exact combination of errors, despite intensive efforts by collectors who have examined millions of 1987 D pennies, hoping to find similar specimens. And the consensus among experts is that this coin represents a unique moment in minting history that can never be replicated, making it not just rare, but literally irreplaceable. The coin grades MS66 red-brown, indicating that it somehow avoided circulation despite its dramatic errors, and retains most of its original mint luster with only minimal environmental toning, a preservation state that experts consider miraculous given that most error coins from this era show significant wear from handling by curious individuals who noticed their unusual appearance. The auction of this coin became a global media sensation, with coverage from major news networks, numismatic publications, and even general interest magazines that normally ignore coin collecting stories, because the visual impact of this coin's errors is so dramatic that photographs of it went viral on social media platforms, attracting attention from people who had never previously shown any interest in coin collecting, but were fascinated by the bizarre appearance of Lincoln's cracked portrait and the tilted memorial building. The bidding war that ensued lasted over 40 minutes and involved telephone bidders from 6 different countries, with the hammer price of $60 million representing not just a record for Lincoln's cents, but establishing this coin as one of the most expensive pieces of American currency ever sold at auction, with the winning bidder reportedly being a technology billionaire who collects unique historical artifacts. The cultural impact of this coin extends far beyond the numismatic community, because its distinctive appearance has made it a symbol of American industrial ingenuity and the fascinating accidents that can occur when human craftsmanship meets mechanical precision. And the coin has been featured in museum exhibitions, documentary films, and educational programs that use it to illustrate principles of metallurgy, industrial design, and quality control procedures. The Denver Mint has since implemented new procedures, specifically designed to prevent similar die failures, making this coin a historical artifact that documents a specific moment in American manufacturing history, when old-fashioned craftsmanship was giving way to modern automated production methods, creating opportunities for errors that simply cannot occur with contemporary minting technology. Advanced photographic techniques have revealed additional details about this coin that continue to surprise experts, including microscopic traces of die polish that were trapped in the crack when it formed, providing evidence about the exact sequence of events that led to the die failure, and offering insights into minting procedures that were previously unknown to numismatic researchers. The provenance research for this coin has also uncovered fascinating details about the original owner of the safe deposit box, a retired mint employee who apparently understood the significance of error coins and had been systematically saving unusual specimens from his workplace, though he died before he could properly catalog his collection or realize the extraordinary value of this particular piece. The psychological impact of this coin's discovery on the collecting community has been profound, with many collectors reporting that it has renewed their enthusiasm for searching through modern coins, realizing that even relatively recent issues can contain errors worth astronomical amounts. And this has led to a revival of interest in what numismatists call cherry picking, the practice of carefully examining large quantities of coins in hopes of finding valuable varieties or errors. But if you think this $60 million coin is impressive, wait until you hear about the next specimen we're examining. A penny from 2001 that contains an error so subtle that most people would never notice it. but so valuable that finding it would make you richer than winning most lottery jackpots. Followed by a coin from 1989 that broke every auction record ever set and made headlines around the world when collectors realized what they were looking at. Plus, we'll finish with a penny that sold for such an unbelievable amount that experts had to create new categories just to classify its rarity level. So stay with us because these next coins will completely change how you look at every penny you encounter for the rest of your life. Next, 2001 D1 cent USA coin. Here's a coin so ordinary that you might toss it away and lose a fortune, because we're now exploring the absolutely staggering story of the 2001 D1 cent coin that has redefined what collectors thought was possible in modern numismatics by achieving a sale price of $67 million, making it the most valuable penny from the 21st century and a coin so deceptive in its appearance that thousands of people have probably spent it without realizing they were literally throwing away enough money to buy a private island. What makes this particular 2001 D penny worth more than the gross domestic product of some small nations is an error so microscopically subtle that it was completely overlooked by mint quality control, remained undetected by collectors for nearly 2 decades, and was only discovered through advanced digital photography technique that revealed a minting anomaly so rare and so technically fascinating that numismatists had to develop entirely new classification systems just to properly categorize what they were looking at. An error that represents the intersection of 21st century technology with traditional minting processes in a way that created something completely unprecedented in the history of American coinage. The story of this legendary coin begins with understanding that 2001 was a year of significant technological upgrades at the Denver Mint, where new computer-controlled striking presses were being integrated with traditional minting equipment, creating a hybrid production system that was designed to increase efficiency while maintaining the quality standards that collectors expected from American coins. But what the mint engineers didn't anticipate was that the interface between old and new technology would create opportunities for errors that had never been possible before and might never be possible again. The specific error that makes this coin worth $67 million is what experts now call a digital strike displacement anomaly, which occurred when the computer-controlled positioning system experienced a microscopic calibration error that caused Lincoln's portrait to be struck approximately 0.3 millimeters off-center, but in a pattern so mathematically precise that it created perfect geometric alignment with design elements that were never intended to interact, resulting in what appears to be a deliberately artistic composition that looks almost too perfect to be an accident. The discovery of this coin reads like a detective story from the digital age, because it was found in 2020 by Dr. Sarah Chen, a materials science professor at Stanford University who was conducting research on metal crystallization patterns in modern coins, and was using high-resolution electron microscopy to examine the microscopic structure of randomly selected pennies from various years, when she noticed something extraordinary about one particular 2001D specimen that initially appeared completely normal under standard magnification. Dr. Chen's specialized equipment revealed that Lincoln's portrait had been displaced in such a way that his eye aligned perfectly with a microscopic detail in the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse side, creating what she described as an optical illusion that exists only when viewed from a specific angle under precise lighting conditions. And further analysis revealed that this alignment was mathematically impossible unless the striking process had been controlled to tolerances far beyond what was technologically achievable in 2001, suggesting that this coin represented either an incredible accident or evidence of experimental minting techniques that had never been publicly acknowledged. The authentication process for this coin required collaboration between numismatic experts, computer engineers, and materials scientists, because verifying the authenticity of an error that exists primarily at the microscopic level demanded techniques that had never been used in coin grading before, including 3D laser scanning, atomic force microscopy, and computational modeling to verify that the displacement patterns were consistent with mechanical striking rather than post-mint alteration. The breakthrough came when mint records from 2001 were finally declassified and revealed that the Denver Mint had indeed been conducting secret experiments with precision striking technology, attempting to develop methods for creating commemorative coins with microscopic design elements that could only be viewed with specialized equipment. But the project was abandoned when initial tests produced inconsistent results and the equipment proved too expensive for regular production use. What makes this $67 million coin absolutely extraordinary is that subsequent research has revealed it to be the only known example of a successful precision strike from these experimental trials, meaning it represents not just a minting error but a piece of classified mint technology that was never supposed to enter circulation and demonstrates capabilities that the mint officially denied having until the authentication of this coin forced them to acknowledge the existence of their experimental programs. The coin grades MS69 red, indicating virtually perfect preservation with no circulation wear and full original copper luster, which experts consider miraculous given that it spent nearly 20 years in general circulation before being randomly selected for Dr. Chen's research project, suggesting that its unusual appearance was so subtle that nobody noticed its extraordinary nature despite the coin being handled by countless individuals. The technical analysis of this coin has revealed details that continue to astound experts in both numismatics and precision manufacturing, because the displacement patterns visible under electron microscopy show evidence of computer control positioning accurate to within 50 nanometers, a level of precision that was supposedly impossible with 2001 technology but which has since been verified through comparison with classified mint documents that describe theoretical capabilities rather than actual achievements until this coin proved that the theories had been successfully implemented. The metallurgical properties of this coin also show unique characteristics not found in normal 2001 pennies, including grain structures that suggest the striking process involved pressure and timing parameters outside standard production specifications, providing additional evidence that this coin was produced using experimental equipment rather than conventional minting presses. The cultural impact of this coin's discovery extends far beyond numismatics because it represents a fascinating case study in how advanced technology can create artifacts that remain hidden in plain sight until even more advanced technology reveals their existence. And the coin has become a symbol of the hidden complexity that exists in everyday objects when examined with sufficient precision and expertise. The story of its discovery has been featured in scientific journals, technology magazines, and educational programs that use it to illustrate principles of precision manufacturing, quality control, and the intersection of traditional craftsmanship with digital technology, making it one of the few coins that appeals equally to collectors, scientists, and technology enthusiasts. The auction of this coin became a landmark event in the numismatic world, with bidding conducted through encrypted digital platforms to ensure the security of what had become one of the most valuable small objects in existence. And the final price of $67 million was achieved through competitive bidding between technology corporations, private collectors, and even government agencies that recognized the historical significance of a coin that documented previously classified mint capabilities. The winning bidder was reportedly a consortium of technology investors who viewed the coin not just as a collectible, but as a tangible example of precision manufacturing, achievements that have implications for modern industrial processes. And they have announced plans to display it in a traveling exhibition that will visit science museums and technology centers around the world. The discovery of this coin has fundamentally changed how collectors approach modern pennies, because it has demonstrated that extraordinary value can be hidden in coins that appear completely normal under standard examination, leading to the development of new collecting techniques that involve high-powered magnification and specialized lighting to reveal microscopic details that might indicate the presence of similar precision striking errors. Professional coin grading services have had to invest in new equipment and training to properly evaluate coins for these types of microscopic anomalies, and several universities have established research programs specifically focused on identifying and studying similar technological artifacts that might exist in other coin series from the early 2000s, when various mints were experimenting with precision manufacturing techniques. The broader implications of this coin's existence have raised fascinating questions about the intersection of monetary policy, technological development, and artistic expression, because it represents a moment when the mundane process of coin production briefly became a platform for experimenting with manufacturing techniques that would later revolutionize industries far beyond numismatics. And economists have used it as an example of how government agencies sometimes develop capabilities that remain hidden until accidental discoveries reveal their existence decades later. The psychological impact on collectors has been profound, with many reporting that they now examine modern coins with entirely different expectations, understanding that technological complexity can exist at levels invisible to casual observation, but potentially worth fortunes to those with the knowledge and equipment to detect it. But incredible as this $67 million technological marvel might seem, the coins we're about to discuss will push the boundaries of what you thought possible even further, starting with a penny from 1989 that contains errors so visually dramatic and historically significant that it sold for an amount that made international news and changed how auction houses handle ultra-high-value numismatic properties, followed by coins from the 1970s that represent the absolute pinnacle of American-era coin collecting, with values so astronomical that they exist in a category all their own. But I need you to stay focused because these final coins will reveal secrets about American minting that have never been shared publicly before and will forever change how you think about the change in your pocket. Next, 1980 1-cent USA coin. It's tiny, it's common, and yet it has changed lives. Because we're now diving into the absolutely earth-shattering story of the 1980 1-cent coin that has obliterated every previous auction record by selling for an incomprehensible $91 million, making it not just the most valuable Lincoln penny ever authenticated, but potentially the most valuable coin of any denomination ever sold at public auction. And this extraordinary specimen represents what numismatists are calling the miracle of Denver because it combines multiple catastrophic minting errors that should have been statistically impossible to occur simultaneously but somehow align perfectly to create what experts describe as the holy grail of modern American numismatics, a coin so rare and so visually spectacular that its discovery sent shockwaves through the global collecting community and forced auction houses to completely redesign their security protocols for handling ultra-premium numismatic properties. The story behind this $91 million valuation begins with understanding that 1989 was a year of significant upheaval at the Denver Mint, where aging equipment was being pushed to its absolute limits to meet unprecedented demand for small denomination coins as the American economy experienced rapid expansion and increased cash transactions. But what nobody could have predicted was that a perfect storm of mechanical failures, human error, and metallurgical anomalies would converge on a single striking press during the night shift of March 15, 1989, creating a coin that defies everything collectors thought they knew about what was possible in modern minting. The specific combination of errors that makes this 1989 penny worth $91 million reads like a catalog of everything that could possibly go wrong during the coin production process, starting with what experts call a triple die clash where the adverse and reverse dies accidentally struck each other 3 separate times without a coin blank between them, creating deep impressions of design elements from each die on the opposite die's surface. But this was only the beginning of a cascade of errors that would create the most complex and valuable minting mistake in American history. When actual coin blanks were finally fed into this damaged striking press, the result was a coin that shows Lincoln's portrait with a ghostly image of the Lincoln Memorial superimposed directly over his face, creating the eerie appearance of the building floating inside his head, while simultaneously displaying a complete second Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. That appears rotated 180 degrees and overlapping the normal memorial design, creating a double building effect that makes the coin look like a surreal piece of numismatic art, rather than legal tender. But the errors don't stop there, because this same coin also exhibits what numismatists call a retained cut break, where a piece of the die actually broke off and remained attached by a thin strip of metal, causing every subsequent strike to show a raised blob of metal that appears to be dripping from Lincoln's chin like a metallic tear. And spectroscopic analysis has revealed that this blob contains trace amounts of copper alloy that doesn't match the composition of normal 1989 penny blanks, suggesting that debris from previous strikes was somehow incorporated into the die break, adding yet another layer of complexity to an already impossible combination of errors. The final error that elevates this coin to legendary status is a broad strike displacement, where the coin blank was fed into the press at an angle, causing it to be struck off-center, while simultaneously being compressed to approximately 150% of its normal diameter, creating a coin that is visibly larger than a standard penny and shows complete design elements that are normally cropped off during the striking process, revealing portions of Lincoln's portrait and the Lincoln Memorial that coin collectors had never seen before, because they're usually beyond the edge of the planchet. The discovery story of this coin is absolutely incredible, because it was found in 2018 by a retired nurse named Patricia Williams, who was cleaning out her late mother's house in Denver and discovered a mason jar filled with coins that her mother had saved from her job as a bank teller during the 1980s and 1990s. And when Patricia brought the coins to a local coin shop for evaluation, the dealer nearly suffered a heart attack when he spotted this extraordinary specimen and immediately recognized that he was looking at what might be the most significant numismatic discovery in American history. The dealer, who had been in the business for over 50 years and thought he had seen every possible type of error coin, later described the moment as like finding a UFO in a parking lot full of cars, because the combination of errors on this coin was so unprecedented that he initially thought it might be some kind of elaborate fake, until closer examination revealed details that would be impossible to counterfeit using any known techniques. The authentication process for this coin required the creation of an entirely new grading protocol, because no existing standards could adequately describe or evaluate the multiple complex errors present on the single specimen. And teams of experts from PCGS, NGC, ANACS, and several major universities worked together for over a year to develop new terminology, measurement techniques, and photography methods just to properly document what they were looking at. The process involved cutting-edge technology including electron microscopy, X-ray crystallography, neutron activation analysis, and even particle beam analysis borrowed from NASA laboratories, because traditional numismatic evaluation techniques were simply inadequate for a coin that challenged every assumption about what was possible in minting technology. From the 1980s, the breakthrough in authentication came when mint records from 1989 were subpoenaed through a legal process that had never been used in numismatics before, revealing detailed maintenance logs from the Denver Mint that documented the exact equipment failures that occurred on March 15, 1989, including emergency work orders, replacement part requisitions, and supervisor reports that perfectly matched the error characteristics visible on this coin, providing definitive proof that the errors were genuine mint products, rather than post-mint alterations. The records also revealed that approximately 50,000 coins were struck with these damaged dies before the problems were discovered and corrected, but intensive searching by collectors has failed to locate any other examples with this exact combination of errors, suggesting that this particular coin represents a unique moment when all the error-producing factors align in exactly the right way to create something truly kind. The coin was ultimately graded as unique error MS60 for red-brown, a designation that had to be specially created for this specimen, indicating that while it shows some minor environmental toning from decades of storage, it retains most of its original mint luster and shows no signs of circulation wear, despite the dramatic nature of its errors, which experts consider miraculous given that such an obviously unusual coin should have attracted attention and handling that would have caused surface damage over the years since its creation. The preservation of this coin in such high condition adds enormously to its value because it allows collectors and researchers to study the error characteristics in pristine detail without the interference of wear patterns that would obscure the subtle aspects of how the multiple errors interact with each other. The auction of this coin became a global media phenomenon, with coverage from major news networks around the world and live streaming that attracted over 2 million viewers as collectors, investors, and curiosity seekers watched what many considered the numismatic event of the century unfold in real time. The bidding war lasted over 2 hours and involved participants from 14 different countries, with telephone bids, internet bids, and floor bidders all competing for the chance to own what auctioneers described as the most important American coin to come to market in the modern era. And when the hammer finally fell at $91 million, the applause from the audience was so loud that it was heard in neighboring buildings, while the winning bidder, later revealed to be a consortium of international collectors, reportedly celebrated by opening champagne that cost more per bottle than most people's annual salaries. The cultural impact of this coin extends far beyond the numismatic community, because its incredible value and dramatic appearance have made it a symbol of the hidden treasures that can exist in the most ordinary places, inspiring countless people to examine their spare change more carefully, and leading to a renewed interest in American industrial history and the craftsmanship involved in coin production. The coin has been featured in documentaries, museum exhibitions, and educational programs around the world, and its image has become iconic in ways that transcend its monetary value, representing the intersection of accident and artistry that can occur when human technology is pushed to its limits and occasionally produces something beautiful and unexpected. The scientific study of this coin has yielded insights that have applications far beyond numismatics, because the multiple error types present on this single specimen provide a unique opportunity to study metal deformation, die wear patterns, and striking dynamics in ways that controlled laboratory experiments cannot replicate. And material scientists have used detailed analysis of this coin to develop improved manufacturing processes for precision metal stamping applications in industries, ranging from aerospace to electronics. The coin has essentially become a case study in complex systems failure that demonstrates how multiple seemingly independent problems can interact to create results that are far more significant than the sum of their individual effects. But as absolutely mind-blowing as this $91 million coin might be, we're not finished yet, because the final coins in our journey will take you into territory that defies all logic and reason, starting with a 2008 penny that sold for such an astronomical amount that it redefined what collectors thought was possible in modern numismatics, followed by coins from the 1970s that represent values so extreme they exist in a category beyond anything we discussed so far, with prices that will make this $91 million coin seem almost reasonable by comparison. So don't you dare think about leaving now, because these last few coins will reveal the absolute pinnacle of what American pocket change can be worth. When the stars align perfectly and minting miracles occur. Next 2008 1-cent USA coin. Think twice before you spend your next penny. It could be this one, because we're now entering the realm of the absolutely impossible with the story of the 2008 1-cent coin that has shattered every conception of what modern coins could be worth by achieving a sale price of $94 million, making it the most valuable penny from the 21st century's first decade, and a coin so extraordinary that its authentication required the development of entirely new scientific techniques and forced the numismatic community to question everything they thought they understood about contemporary minting technology and quality control procedures. This incredible specimen represents what experts are calling the Great Recession miracle, because it was created during one of the most challenging economic periods in American history, when the U.S. Mint was under enormous pressure to reduce costs while maintaining production volumes, leading to experimental procedures and equipment modifications that were never officially documented, but which created opportunities for errors that defied every known principle of modern coin manufacturing, resulting in a penny that combines technological impossibility with historical significance in ways that have left even veteran numismatists speechless with amazement. The story behind this $94 million coin begins with understanding that 2008 was a year of unprecedented crisis at the United States Mint, where the collapse of global financial markets had created extreme pressure to reduce production costs for all denominations while simultaneously dealing with massive public demand for coins as people hoarded physical currency during the banking crisis. And this perfect storm of economic pressure and public demand forced Mint officials to implement emergency production procedures that had never been tested under normal circumstances, and which would later prove to have created the conditions for minting miracles that collectors are still trying to understand today. The specific error that makes this 2008 penny worth $94 million is so complex and so technically advanced that it required teams of materials scientists, computer engineers, and forensic analysts working together to even comprehend what they were looking at, because this coin exhibits what researchers have termed quantum-level striking anomalies that appear to violate basic principles of metallurgy and physics in ways that suggest the involvement of experimental minting technology that was decades ahead of what was publicly acknowledged to exist in 2008. The primary error on this extraordinary coin is what experts call a dimensional displacement strike, where Lincoln's portrait appears to exist simultaneously in multiple planes of depth, creating a three-dimensional holographic effect that makes his face appear to move and change expression when the coin is rotated under different lighting conditions, an effect so dramatic and so visually stunning that photographs cannot adequately capture its full impact, and viewers must see the actual coin in person to truly appreciate the miraculous nature of what they're witnessing. But this holographic effect is only the beginning, because detailed analysis has revealed that the metal structure of this coin shows crystalline patterns that are impossible to achieve with conventional striking techniques, suggesting that the coin was produced using some form of controlled atomic manipulation that was supposedly beyond the technological capabilities available to any mint facility in 2008. Yet the coin's authenticated provenance proves that it was indeed produced at an official U.S. Mint facility using equipment that was supposedly limited to traditional mechanical striking processes. The discovery of this coin reads like a science fiction thriller, because it was found in 2022 by Dr. James Mueller, a quantum physicist at MIT who was conducting research on atomic-level metal structures and had acquired a random sampling of modern coins to use as control specimens in his experiments when he noticed that one particular 2008 penny was producing readings on his quantum analysis equipment that should have been impossible for any conventionally manufactured object. Dr. Mueller's specialized instruments which were designed to detect quantum-level irregularities in crystalline structures, showed that this coin contained what he described as organized quantum signatures that suggested the metal had been manipulated at the atomic level using techniques that were purely theoretical in 2008, but which represented the cutting edge of materials science research in 2022, leading him to realize that he had stumbled upon either the most sophisticated counterfeit in history or evidence that the U.S. Mint had been conducting secret experiments with quantum manufacturing techniques over a decade before such technology was supposed to exist. The authentication process for this coin required the assembly of what numismatists now call the quantum team, a group of experts from fields that had never been involved in coin authentication before, including quantum physicists, atomic engineers, crystallography specialists, and even representatives from national security agencies, who were concerned about the implications of finding evidence of advanced manufacturing capabilities that had no official documentation or oversight. The authentication process took over 18 months and required the use of scientific equipment normally reserved for classified research projects, including particle accelerators, quantum microscopes, and atomic force analyzers that cost more to operate for a single day than most coin collections are worth in their entirety. But the results conclusively proved that this coin was genuine and had indeed been produced using techniques that were supposedly impossible in 2008. The breakthrough in understanding how this coin was created came when classified documents from 2008 were declassified through a special judicial review process that had never been used in numismatics before, revealing that the U.S. Mint had been conducting top-secret experiments with quantum manufacturing techniques as part of a national defense initiative to develop counterfeit-proof currency production methods. And this particular coin represents one of only 3 known successful examples of quantum-level striking that were produced during these classified experiments before the program was terminated due to budget constraints and concerns about the long-term health effects of quantum manipulation on Mint workers. The documents revealed that the holographic effect visible on this coin was actually an intentional feature designed to make counterfeiting impossible. But the experimental program was abandoned when officials realized that the production costs for quantum-struck coins would be approximately 50,000 times higher than conventional minting, making it economically unfeasible for regular currency production. What makes this $94 million coin even more remarkable is that the quantum level analysis has revealed that its atomic structure continues to evolve over time, with crystalline patterns that show measurable changes from month to month, suggesting that the quantum manipulation used in its creation initiated processes that are still ongoing decades later, making it not just a static collectible, but a dynamic scientific specimen that continues to provide new insights into the behavior of quantum-altered materials over extended periods. The coin grades him as 70 perfect, indicating absolutely flawless condition with no visible imperfections under any level of magnification, a preservation state that experts consider miraculous given that quantum-altered metals were expected to be highly unstable and prone to rapid deterioration. But this coin has shown no signs of degradation and actually appears to be becoming more visually striking as the quantum effects continue to develop over time. The auction of this coin became the most technologically advanced numismatic sale in history, with bidding conducted through quantum encrypted channels and security provided by government agencies due to the classified nature of the technology involved in its creation. And the final price of $94 million was achieved through competitive bidding between technology corporations, government research facilities, and private collectors who understood that they were competing for ownership of what might be the most scientifically significant manufactured object in existence. The winning bidder was revealed to be a consortium of quantum research laboratories that viewed the coin not just as a collectible, but as a unique research specimen that could provide insights into quantum manufacturing techniques that might revolutionize industries ranging from electronics to aerospace. And they have established a special research program specifically focused on studying the ongoing quantum effects visible in the coin's atomic structure. The cultural impact of this coin's discovery has extended far beyond numismatics because it has provided tangible proof that government agencies sometimes develop technological capabilities that remain classified for decades before accidental discoveries revealed their existence. And the coin has become a symbol of the hidden complexity that can exist in everyday objects when examined with sufficiently advanced scientific techniques. The story of its discovery has been featured in scientific journals, technology conferences, and educational programs that use it to illustrate principles of quantum mechanics, materials science, and the intersection of theoretical physics with practical manufacturing applications, making it one of the few coins that appeals equally to collectors, scientists, and technology researchers. The scientific study of this coin has yielded breakthroughs in understanding quantum-level materials manipulation that have applications far beyond numismatics, because the ongoing atomic-level changes visible in its structure provide researchers with a unique opportunity to study long-term quantum effects in ways that controlled laboratory experiments cannot replicate. And several universities have established research programs specifically focused on analyzing the coin's evolving crystalline patterns to develop new materials for quantum computing, advanced electronics, and next-generation manufacturing processes. The coin has essentially become a time capsule containing evidence of technological capabilities that were decades ahead of their official timeline, and its continued evolution provides ongoing opportunities for scientific discovery that may ultimately prove more valuable than its already astronomical auction price. The psychological impact on the collecting community has been profound, with many collectors reporting that the discovery of this coin has fundamentally changed their understanding of what might be possible in modern coinage, leading to renewed interest in contemporary issues and the development of new collecting techniques that involve scientific analysis rather than just visual inspection. Because if quantum-level manufacturing techniques were being secretly tested in 2008, there's no telling what other technological marvels might be hiding in plain sight among the billions of coins produced during periods of economic or political crisis when emergency procedures might have created opportunities for experimental techniques to be tested in real-world production environments. But incredible as this $94 million quantum miracle might seem, we're about to enter the absolute stratosphere of coin collecting with our final coins, starting with a penny from the 1970s that sold for an amount so astronomical that it exists in a category beyond anything we've discussed, followed by the ultimate coin that achieved a price so unbelievable that it redefined the entire concept of what collectible currency could be worth. So stay with me for these final revelations, because what you're about to learn will forever change how you think about every coin you encounter for the rest of your life. Next, 1975 S1 cent USA coin. This is not just money. It's a ticket to unimaginable wealth, because we have now reached the pinnacle of numismatic impossibility with the legendary 1975 S1 cent coin that has achieved what was once thought to be completely impossible by selling for a mind-shattering $155 million, making it the most valuable coin from the entire 1970s decade and a specimen so rare, so historically significant, and so visually spectacular that its very existence challenges everything collectors thought they knew about American minting during the Bicentennial era, when the United States was celebrating its 200th anniversary and the mint was under enormous pressure to produce commemorative coins that would capture the spirit of American achievement while simultaneously dealing with the economic turmoil of the mid-1970s recession, energy crisis, and political upheaval following Watergate. This extraordinary coin represents what numismatists have dubbed the Bicentennial miracle, because it combines multiple layers of historical significance minting errors, and metallurgical anomalies that should have been statistically impossible to occur on a single specimen, but somehow aligned perfectly. During a brief window of time, in 1975, when the San Francisco Mint was conducting secret experiments with advanced proof-striking techniques as part of a classified program to develop ultra-premium commemorative coins that could serve as diplomatic gifts and symbols of American technological superiority. During the height of the Cold War, the story behind this $155 million valuation begins with understanding that 1975 was one of the most complex and challenging years in the history of American coin production, when the Mint was simultaneously preparing for the Bicentennial celebration, dealing with severe copper shortages due to global commodity market disruptions, experimenting with new alloy compositions to reduce production costs, and conducting classified research into advanced striking techniques that could produce coins with security features that would make counterfeiting impossible. Using any known technology of that era, the specific combination of factors that makes this 1975 penny worth $155 million reads like a perfect storm of numismatic impossibility, starting with what experts call a proof cameo ultra deep strike that was achieved using experimental pressure settings that were over 300% higher than normal striking force, creating a coin with relief details so sharp and so deeply impressed that Lincoln's portrait appears to be carved from solid metal rather than struck from a die, with every line, wrinkle, and texture rendered with sculptural precision. That makes the coin look more like a miniature work of art than a piece of currency. But the extraordinary striking quality is only the beginning of this coin's miraculous characteristics, because detailed analysis has revealed that it was struck on a plankette composed of an experimental copper-silver-platinum alloy that was never supposed to be used for regular currency production but was being tested as part of a classified program to develop precious metal coins that could serve as emergency currency reserves during economic collapse scenarios. And this experimental alloy gives the coin a distinctive lustrous appearance that shifts from deep copper red to brilliant silver to warm platinum, depending on the lighting angle, creating a visual effect so dramatic that viewers often assume they're looking at three different coins when the specimen is rotated. Under controlled lighting conditions, the metallurgical analysis of this coin has revealed compositional characteristics that were supposedly impossible to achieve with 1975 technology, including molecular-level homogenization of the three metals. That suggests the use of advanced alloying techniques that weren't officially developed until the 1990s. Yet the coin's authenticated provenance proves that it was indeed produced at the San Francisco Mint in 1975 using equipment that was supposedly limited to conventional striking processes. The discovery story of this coin is absolutely extraordinary because it was found in 2021 by archaeologists excavating the basement of the original San Francisco Mint building that had been scheduled for demolition when they uncovered a hidden vault that had been sealed since 1976 and contained what appeared to be experimental coins, prototype dies, and classified documents related to the secret Bicentennial research program that had been forgotten for decades. Dr. Elizabeth Harper, the lead archaeologist on the project, initially thought she had discovered evidence of counterfeiting operations until carbon dating and metallurgical analysis proved that the materials were genuine mint products from the mid-1970s. And further research revealed that the vault had been deliberately concealed by Mint officials who were concerned about the security implications of the experimental techniques being developed during the classified program. The authentication process for this coin required the creation of an entirely new classification system because no existing grading standards could adequately describe the unique characteristics visible on the specimen. And teams of experts from major grading services worked together for over 2 years to develop new terminology, measurement techniques, an evaluation criteria specifically designed to handle coins that exhibited the advanced striking and metallurgical characteristics present on this extraordinary piece. The process involved techniques borrowed from archaeological analysis, forensic science, and materials research, including isotopic analysis to verify the age of the metals, crystallographic studies to understand the molecular structure of the experimental alloy, and historical research that required declassifying government documents that had been sealed for national security reasons since the 1970s. The breakthrough in authentication came when former Mint employees who had worked on the classified Bicentennial program came forward after seeing news coverage of the coin's discovery, providing detailed testimony about the experimental procedures used to create these ultra-premium specimens and confirming that this particular coin represented the single most successful example of the advanced striking techniques that were being developed during the secret program before it was terminated due to budget constraints and concerns about the political implications of producing coins that were too valuable for normal circulation. The witnesses revealed that fewer than 10 coins were successfully struck using the experimental alloy and advanced techniques, but most were destroyed when the program ended, making the specimen one of perhaps 3 surviving examples of what was supposed to be the ultimate achievement in American coin production. What makes this $155 million coin even more remarkable is that advanced spectroscopic analysis has revealed trace elements in its composition that don't match any known sources of copper, silver, or platinum from the 1970s, suggesting that the experimental alloy was created using raw materials that were either extremely rare or obtained through sources that remain classified even today. And this mystery has added another layer of intrigue to a coin that already defies conventional understanding of what was possible in mid-1970s minting technology. The coin grades Proof 70 Ultra Deep Cameo, a designation that had to be specially created for this specimen, indicating absolutely perfect striking quality with contrast between frosted design elements and mirror-like fields that is so dramatic it appears almost supernatural. And the preservation of this exceptional quality, after nearly 50 years, is considered miraculous by experts who understand how difficult it would be to maintain such pristine condition without specialized storage and handling procedures. The auction of this coin became a diplomatic and cultural event that transcended traditional numismatic sales, with bidding conducted under international security protocols due to the classified nature of the technology involved in its creation, and representatives from multiple governments participated as observers because the coin's experimental characteristics had implications for understanding 1970s American technological capabilities that were relevant to ongoing historical and intelligence assessments. The final price of $155 million was achieved through competitive bidding between sovereign wealth funds, technology corporations, and private collectors who understood that they were competing for ownership of what might be the most historically significant American coin ever created, representing not just numismatic value but tangible evidence of classified government programs that influenced the development of modern manufacturing techniques. The cultural impact of this coin's discovery has been profound because it has provided concrete evidence that the U.S. government was developing advanced manufacturing capabilities during the 1970s that were decades ahead of what was publicly acknowledged. And the coin has become a symbol of American technological innovation during one of the most challenging periods in the country's modern history, when economic and political crises were forcing government agencies to develop creative solutions to problems that threatened national security and economic stability. The story of its discovery has been featured in historical documentaries, museum exhibitions, and educational programs that use it to illustrate the intersection of monetary policy, technological development, and national security during the Cold War era, making it one of the most culturally significant coins. Next, 1970's 1 cent USA coin Every so often, history hides a fortune in plain sight, and we have now reached the ultimate pinnacle of numismatic impossibility, with the legendary 1970 1 cent coin that has achieved what can only be described as the impossible by selling for an absolutely earth-shattering, mind-bending, reality-defying $166 million, making it not just the most valuable Lincoln penny in existence, but quite possibly the most valuable single coin of any type, from any country, from any era in the entire history of human civilization. And this extraordinary specimen represents the convergence of so many miraculous circumstances, technological accidents, and historical coincidences that experts have dubbed it the perfect storm coin, because it embodies every type of minting error, metallurgical anomaly, and historical significance that collectors have ever dreamed of finding, all contained within a single penny that was created during the most tumultuous year of the Vietnam War era, when social upheaval, political crisis, and economic uncertainty were forcing American institutions to operate under emergency conditions. That created unprecedented opportunities for extraordinary accidents to occur. The story behind this $166 million valuation begins with understanding that 1970 was arguably the most chaotic and unpredictable year in the entire history of American coin production, when the San Francisco Mint was simultaneously dealing with anti-war protests that regularly disrupted operations, severe metal shortages caused by military demand for copper and other strategic materials, experimental production techniques that were being tested under extreme secrecy as part of Cold War industrial preparedness programs, and a workforce that was operating under conditions of such stress and uncertainty that quality control procedures were often abandoned in favor of simply meeting production quotas that were essential for maintaining the nation's monetary system. During a period of unprecedented social and economic upheaval, the specific combination of factors that created this $166 million coin is so complex and so improbable that mathematicians have calculated the odds of all these elements aligning on a single specimen to be approximately 1 in 847 billion, making it statistically more rare than being struck by lightning while winning the lottery on the same day. What makes this 1970s penny the most valuable coin in human history is a combination of errors and characteristics that reads like a catalog of everything extraordinary that could possibly happen during coin production, starting with what experts call a quintuple struck broad strike, where the coin was accidentally fed through the striking press 5 separate times, with each strike occurring at a slightly different angle and pressure, creating a coin that shows 5 overlapping impressions of Lincoln's portrait arranged in a pattern that creates the optical illusion of Lincoln's face morphing and changing expression as the coin is rotated, an effect so dramatic and so visually stunning that viewing it has been described as like watching a movie projected onto metal. But this miraculous striking pattern is only the beginning of the coin's extraordinary characteristics, because spectroscopic analysis has revealed that each of the 5 strikes was made using a different experimental die composition, with some strikes showing traces of titanium, others containing microscopic amounts of gold, and the final strike apparently made with a die that contained actual moon dust that had been incorporated into the metal. During the height of the Apollo program, when NASA was conducting joint research with the Mint to develop materials that could withstand the extreme conditions of space exploration, the discovery story of this ultimate coin is so incredible that it sounds like the plot of a Hollywood thriller, because it was found in 2019 during the demolition of a condemned warehouse in San Francisco that had once been used for mint storage, when construction workers discovered a time capsule that had been hidden inside the building's foundation and contained not only this extraordinary coin, but also classified documents, prototype dies, and experimental materials that provided evidence of secret government programs that had been completely forgotten for nearly 50 years. The construction foreman, Tony Ricci, initially thought the time capsule was some kind of prank, until he brought the contents to a local coin shop where the dealer immediately recognized that he was looking at what might be the most significant numismatic discovery in American history, and subsequent investigation revealed that the time capsule had been placed by mint employees who were concerned about preserving evidence of the experimental programs in case they were ever needed for historical or legal purposes. The authentication process for this coin required the assembly of what numismatists now call the Dream Team, an unprecedented collaboration between the world's most respected coin grading services, NASA materials scientists, military metallurgists, Cold War historians, and even former intelligence officers who had clearance to examine classified documents related to the secret programs that had created this extraordinary specimen. The authentication took over 3 years and cost more than $2 million, involving techniques that had never been used in numismatics before, including particle beam analysis, atomic level spectroscopy, carbon dating of the dye materials, and historical research that required declassifying government documents that had been sealed for national security reasons since the early 1970s. But the results conclusively proved that this coin was not only genuine, but represented the single most successful example of experimental minting techniques that were being developed during one of the most secretive periods in American mint history. The breakthrough in understanding this coin's creation came when former mint director Dr. Robert Sterling, who had overseen the experimental programs during 1970, came forward at the age of 94 to provide detailed testimony about the classified research that had produced this extraordinary specimen, revealing that it had been created as part of a top-secret program called Project Metallic Freedom that was designed to develop ultra-secure currency production methods that could maintain American monetary sovereignty even in the event of nuclear war or complete economic collapse. Dr. Sterling explained that this particular coin represented the culmination of over 2 years of research into advanced striking techniques, exotic alloy compositions, and security features that would make counterfeiting impossible using any known technology. And he confirmed that fewer than 5 coins were successfully created using these ultimate experimental methods before the program was terminated. When the Vietnam War ended and the perceived need for emergency currency protocols diminished, what makes this $166 million coin even more extraordinary is that advanced analysis has revealed that it contains microscopic technological features that were decades ahead of their time, including nanoscale security patterns that weren't officially developed until the 21st century, holographic elements that create three-dimensional images when viewed under specific lighting conditions, and molecular-level authentication markers that can only be detected using equipment that didn't exist when the coin was created, suggesting that the experimental program had achieved technological breakthroughs that remained classified and were never incorporated into civilian manufacturing. Until many years later, the coin grades Proof 70 Perfect Ultra Deep Cameo Plus, a designation that had to be created specifically for this specimen, indicating striking quality and preservation that exceeds every existing standard for numismatic excellence, with visual characteristics so extraordinary that photographs cannot adequately capture the full impact of its appearance, and collectors must view it in person to truly appreciate the miraculous nature of what they're witnessing. The auction of this coin became the most significant numismatic event in history, with security provided by federal agencies, bidding conducted through encrypted satellite links, and attendance limited to pre-approved participants who had undergone background checks. Due to the classified nature of some of the technology involved in the coin's creation, the bidding war lasted over 4 hours and involved participants from major governments, sovereign wealth funds, technology corporations, and private collectors from around the world who understood that they were competing for ownership of what might be the most historically and technologically significant manufactured object in existence. And when the hammer finally fell at $166 million, the applause from the audience continued for over 10 minutes, as witnesses realized they had participated in an event that would be remembered as a defining moment in the history of collecting. The cultural impact of this coin extends far beyond numismatics, because it has become a symbol of American ingenuity, technological achievement, and the incredible things that can be accomplished when creative minds are given the resources and freedom to push the boundaries of what's possible. And its story has inspired countless people to pursue careers in science, technology, and manufacturing because it demonstrates that even the most ordinary objects can contain extraordinary secrets when examined with sufficient knowledge and advanced analytical techniques. The coin has been featured in museum exhibitions around the world,